So, I'm very straightforward about my reviews, about things of that nature. Let me fix the camera here a little bit. So, like I've said before about when I actually reviewed one of the trailers for Imaginary, I said I would do it mullet style, which basically means no spoilers at the front, spoilers in the back. So at some point, I'm basically going to let you all know, whoever's viewing my video, that it's mullet time. You know what I mean? Like, it's time. I'm going to be talking about the spoilers. For the first couple minutes, I'm going to just basically talk about the movie in a very vague way to kind of keep you all from getting spoilers in case you do want to check out the movie. You never know. Some people want to check out movies even if they're absolutely dreadful and everybody says they're terrible. And some people, want to know if the movie's really good. And sometimes a lot of people don't like a movie, but they're looking for a reviewer that'll tell you otherwise. And I wish this was the case. This movie... got to get used to not giving any spoilers, so I'm really tiptoeing around what I'm going to say here. To give you my spoiler-free review, I would say that the movie gave me what my expectations were. I expected a horror movie about a teddy bear that turned evil, or that was evil, and could transform into some type of a monster and scare people. And that's what you get when you go into the movie and you watch it. That's exactly what you get. It starts off decently good. I mean, it starts off slow like any other horror movie. It starts off the way it needs to. You got to build the momentum, the suspense. That's how every horror movie needs to be built and made. With the occasional start of the movie having something that grabs your attention, a hook, something that's very already at the climax, something high-paced, fast-paced, something that's really getting you going, like a chase scene, which, you know what I mean, most movies follow that, and this movie is very similar. It follows the same type of, kind of algorithm of how it's going to go, like the process is what I mean. It goes by the same process. Just like any generic horror movie, it starts off the same type of ways. The movie doesn't very much explain what's going on at the beginning super well. And the main character is very confused and or forgetful of things that I guess have happened in her past. And with that being said, that kind of paves her way through the movie of finding out that she has some type of, connection to what's going on in the movie. So that's basically the very vague premise of the movie, which if you watch the trailer of the movie, you'll know that. And you'll know who the main character is. They make it very apparent. If you've watched my review of the trailer, then you know exactly who I'm talking about, what I'm talking about. The movie, like I said, gave me what I expected. I was hoping that there would be a twist that I kind of didn't see coming, but the twists that were in there were kind of obvious. They weren't something new. It's been done before. If you've ever watched the movie like Smile, or if you've ever watched the movie Night Swim, or if you've ever watched any type of like one-shotter movies, and one-shotter movies is basically where they, shoot a movie, you do it once, done. That's the end of that movie series for the majority of it. Talk to Me is a good one. Talk to Me is a kind of similar. It's got some twists that you're not expecting, some twists that are predictable, and it's just the nice kind of middle ground of both. This movie, unfortunately, doesn't really have that. A lot of the times I already knew that there was a twist coming, and I knew what the twist was. So it's a predictable movie, and the story is kind of muddy in some places. It's not very it's not really refined. It's not fine down. You know what I mean? There were still some kinks I feel like they could have worked out on it. But at the end of the day, for it being what it was, just a one-shot horror movie, I don't really I could see them making another one, but I don't think there's a need for it. If they just keep it as it is, I think it is what it is on its own. It is what it is. Critics really didn't like it. Rotten Tomatoes didn't like it. The audience didn't like it, from what I could see. Which, I mean, I could understand. I'll go ahead and let you know now. I really could care less about the movie. Watched the movie and I was like, eh. You know what I mean? It's okay. Would I say it's worth a watch? If you're kind of bored one night and you just want a goofy horror movie that, you know, isn't super crazy or going to leave you mind boggled, and you're just trying to watch something just because, I would say maybe. It really depends on your taste on horror movies. It's a very just, it's like drinking a pop or like drinking a juice, and it kind of leaves like a tangy taste in your mouth that's just like, you know what I mean? That's the best way I could describe this movie. This movie's kind of the same way. I watched it. I was expecting what I expected. It happened, but it didn't happen in any ways that surprised me or gave me different feelings toward it. And by the end of the movie, I was just like, yeah, I could have gone without watching that movie, or I could have watched that movie and I'd been like, you know what I mean? A movie's a movie. You go to see a movie or you go to watch a movie just to see what it is. It's a one-time watch. That's what I'm going to tell you. This movie was a one-time watch. I don't see myself watching this movie ever again. In fact, there were certain parts of the movie where I started to fall asleep. And granted, that could have just been due to the fact that I was tired and it was later at night, but also, if it's a really exciting movie, no matter what time of day it is, you should still probably be engaged enough to kind of feel good about it. And it wasn't there for me. You know what I mean? It wasn't fully there. Not what I wanted. Mullet style time. Talk for 7 minutes about how I felt about it. Now we're getting into mullet style. If you don't want spoilers and you want to go into it spoiler free, I suggest you leave the video now and you go watch the movie and you come back if you want to. This is where I'm changing over to spoilers. Okay, so everybody who wants the spoilers, let's get into it. So the movie is basically about this woman. If I remember correctly, her name is Jessica. She grew up in this house with her parents, and she had a imaginary friend. This imaginary friend's name was Chauncey, which is the teddy bear, the little teddy bear that she has, the stuffed bear. That stuffed bear turns out to actually be possessed by some entity from another place. And I want to say it's called the not place or the dark place or something. It had a name like that. And it was basically another realm through this little door, this little place that was like a dark, evil world where this creature lived. And the creature that you come to find out later on is actually the creature that she sees in her dreams at the very beginning of the movie. It starts off showing you this spider creature that's chasing her. It comes through her closet door and it grabs a hold of her, and then she wakes up from the nightmare. That creature is what's possessing the teddy bear. The teddy bear's name, like I said, is Chauncey. And then it starts off with that chase scene. She wakes up, turns out it's a nightmare. Jessica has a stepdaughter, and they end up moving to this one house. The father goes off and kind of does something for work or something. He ends up going away. So he's not really in the story too much. Jessica and the stepdaughter or whatever are more of in the story. The stepdaughter ends up finding Chauncey in the same house that Jessica grew up in with her father. And that girl goes, I don't remember the girl's name, forgive me. I remember Jessica and Chauncey. At least give me that. Like I said, the movie was kind of boring a little bit. So forgive me if I don't remember every single detail to a perfect T. The little girl goes down into the basement, and she ends up finding the teddy bear, Chauncey or whatever. Chauncey's still there after all those years. So she grabs a hold of Chauncey and she starts talking to it as her imaginary friend. Jessica does not remember Chauncey at all. For whatever reason, probably trauma pushed down in her brain, kind of suppressed. But basically, she doesn't remember this bear at all. Has no clue about anything about this bear at all. She just thinks that, oh, it's just a stuffed animal you found. Oh, cool. Yeah, what's its name? Chauncey. Oh, cool. It's your imaginary friend. Oh, wow. So she doesn't think nothing about it. She doesn't remember being a kid and that bear being possessed. And the bear, Chauncey, actually, when Jessica's a kid, tries luring her into that dark, dark place, or whatever that place is called, into that little door. And her dad, I think, ends up, I believe it's her dad. Yeah, it's her dad, goes and saves her. But he looks into the eyes of Chauncey, and it traumatizes him. So his memory ends up being really bad, and like he's scatterbrained. And whenever Jessica would go to see him, he would lash out or freak out. Don't go near the bear. Don't go near Chauncey. Don't go to the place. It's evil. Don't, he'd freak out. And Jessica goes and sees her dad at that home that he's at. And he quite literally went crazy once that bear, he looked in that evil monster's eyes. So she doesn't remember that. I'm assuming it's because of the trauma suppressed and everything. I think they actually tell you in the story, but like I said, I don't fully remember. I'm going off of what I can remember from the other night. And the bear starts talking to the stepdaughter. The stepdaughter starts doing the things that it wants. The stepdaughter ends up making a list, and it basically says different stuff like, collect your favorite thing, the thing that makes you happy, the thing that scares you, the thing that you hate. Ends up doing all this weird stuff and ends up trying to make the little girl hurt herself at certain times, and to do things that are bad and not good, and collect dead bugs and stuff. Really weird and creepy. And there's another girl there. She's either, like I said, memory's real rough on this one. I started getting real tired and started losing my attention. Either a babysitter or the sister of the stepdaughter or whatever ended up bringing a friend over. And that friend ends up like kind of says like the bugs are cool in the jar and stuff, which I think is weird. I thought the bugs were creepy. Collecting dead bugs is a creepy thing, especially for a little girl. I feel like that would have been the first like red flag. Like, why is she collecting bugs for an imaginary friend? That's probably not healthy. That's kind of weird. But she ended up collecting a bunch of weird stuff. She ended up doing a bunch of weird stuff, and then the bear ended up telling her to do things that were going to hurt her. So this bear was obviously evil. They end up going to someone after the girl ends up doing something, going to some type of therapist or some other doctor, and they end up finding out that Jessica had that imaginary friend, that teddy bear, that Chauncey. So all of those suppressed memories and stuff end up coming out. She remembers all of that. And then I believe the name of the woman was Gloria. She ended up helping them with certain stuff. And but through the end of the movie, the climax of the movie, Jessica and the stepdaughter basically end up getting not really swarmed, but getting sucked into the world by Chauncey. Chauncey ends up drawing the girl and all of them into that world, and it reveals itself. It's the spider from the very beginning in that dream that Jessica had. And it begins to try to attack them. They end up basically burning it. Before that, the spider thing, the creature ends up tricking Jessica, I believe, into thinking that they beat it or something like that, or got away from it. But it ends up being fake. It wasn't real. It was like something that it conjured up in her mind. They end up burning the spider at some point. It burns the spider. They burn the door. They all run out of the house, and the house burns down. And they think Chauncey's beaten. Chauncey's dead. Well, then they go to a hotel. They go to stay at a hotel because the house is burned down. They don't have a house to live in. So they go to the place, the hotel, and they end up seeing a little kid playing with a teddy bear that looks identical to Chauncey. Looks just like the teddy bear. So then they end up freaking out. They're like, oh my God, we need to go to a different hotel. We can't be around there. So I think it scared them or traumatized them, but at the same time, I think it was like a little hint of like, Chauncey's not dead, which who could have seen that coming? If you've watched any horror movie that's a one-shot or like that, you know it always ends up like that. They leave just enough room at the end of the movie so that if they ever wanted to make a second one, they could make one. So they end up showing that little bear there with the kid holding it to kind of show that, oh, maybe Chauncey's not dead. Maybe he isn't. So there is a possibility that they end up making a sequel of this movie. But the twists, like I said, the only twist that they ended up having was that bear at the end that the kid was holding. And the other twist was that Jessica ended up having that as an imaginary friend, which really isn't a twist because technically they tell you that in the trailer of the movie. They kind of show you that. I kind of got that immediately just by watching the trailer. So that twist didn't really get me. And then the only other twist is that it was all in Jessica's mind when she was in that other world thing, and that the thing was actually trying to trap her, and that whatever happened before that wasn't real. But that was also kind of, I was like, at some point I was just like, yeah, this is fake. This isn't real. You know what I mean? It's like the movie Smile. Like, she ends up thinking that she beat it, she got away, and she won. The creature you end up finding out the creature was just making an illusion to scare her, to show her that there was no hope. And then the girl ends up getting taken over by the creature. Same premise. And I mean, since I've watched horror movies like that, I knew what that twist was. It really didn't surprise me. So it expectation-wise, what I expected from the movie, it gave me, but it didn't give me in a way where I liked the movie. I don't really like the movie. I don't feel either way about it. And if I feel either way about it, I'm leaning towards not liking it. The movie really wasn't worth that much of time unless you were bored. And to be fair, I was just kind of bored, didn't know what to watch. I went ahead and watched it because I knew that I had made the reaction to the trailer, went ahead and tried it. The movie was boring the snot out of me. I ended up sleeping almost through one of the parts, and I ended up waking myself up because I was like, I need to watch this movie so I can make a review on it. But with that all being said, that's kind of my spoiler review there. It wasn't really a good movie, and you could tell by the ratings. Rotten Tomatoes gave it like a 28% or something like that. The audience score was low too. It was like in the 20s or 30s, I think. The movie did not go well at all. I don't think the movie was good. They could have done a lot different with it. It was a neat idea. It was kind of like a mixture between Chucky and Annabelle in a way, because it was possessed, like how Annabelle the doll's possessed by a demon, and then Chucky's running around the house doing junk. It was kind of the same way. It was kind of a mixture of the two. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't worth it. So if I was to go ahead and give you a review of this and rate the movie out of 10, kind of like what I do with my unboxings, if I was to rate it out of 10, I'd give this movie a solid 3. Because at the end of the day, if you watch it, it's still a movie. It's still something different. But you're not going to get anything out of it that's enjoying. It's not going to be super scary. There's going to be some parts where you're like, oh, okay, cool. But at the end of the day, it's not a really good movie. It does not stand up to any movie like Smile or like Talk to Me or like Chucky or anything else like that. Like, those movies are, heck, even the movie Night Swim, I think, was better than this movie. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3. I don't think it was so bad it gets like a 2 or a 1. It was still a decent movie, and the graphics weren't terrible. The CGI was okay. But it just wasn't worth it. It's definitely a one-time watch just to make sure that it's bad, you know, just to kind of like put the nail in the coffin of like, is this a bad movie? Yes, it is. So I definitely will never watch that movie again. I would never buy it digitally or anything else like that, or physically. You know, I'm done with the movie. But that's my reaction there. There's my spoiler-free and my spoiler reaction. So if you all enjoyed my review and my reaction to this movie, make sure to leave a like, subscribe and share, and put your comments down below and let me know what you all thought. Like always, I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.